You don't notice it at first. It starts as a feeling, a quiet unease after certain conversations, a heaviness you can't name, a version of yourself that keeps shrinking without your permission. You look around and realize the person you used to be, confident, driven, clear, has been slowly replaced by someone quieter, more cautious, more afraid. And you don't know exactly when it happened. Someone in your life has been doing this to you. Not with violence, not with obvious cruelty, but with a method so subtle, so consistent, that it bypasses every defense you think you have. Toxic people rarely announce themselves. They wear your trust like armor. They present themselves as allies while they systematically dismantle the architecture of your confidence, your clarity, and your will. This is not weakness. This is strategy, someone else's strategy being executed against you. And the most dangerous game is the one you don't know you're playing until you've already lost ground. You've blamed yourself. You've questioned your own memory, your own perception, your own reactions. That is exactly what they needed you to do. That self-doubt is not a flaw. It is the wound they opened. 500 years ago, a man sat in exile and wrote the most brutally honest account of human nature ever committed to paper. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli, and he already knew about your situation. What if the very behavior destroying you right now was documented, categorized, and exposed centuries ago? And what if understanding it, truly understanding it, is the only thing that can stop it? Machiavelli was not a villain. He was a diagnostician. He spent his life studying power, who holds it, who steals it, and most critically, who quietly surrenders it without ever realizing what they gave away. In The Prince and his discourses, he described toxic people not as monsters, but as opportunists, skilled readers of human weakness. People who exploit not your vices but your virtues, your loyalty, your compassion, your trust. Machiavelli understood something that most people still refuse to accept. In the theater of human relationships, not everyone plays the same role. Some build, some drain, some smile while they extract everything you have to offer. He wrote about the mask of virtue, the way manipulators adopt the language and appearance of good people. They speak of loyalty while manufacturing your dependence. They speak of love while engineering your isolation. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the hidden dimension of personality. The first truth Machiavelli would speak to you directly: your empathy is not a shield, it is a door. And toxic people are not looking for your weakness. They are looking for your compassion. They arrive with stories, crises, wounds on display. While you are extending yourself to help, they are mapping exactly how far your generosity reaches, and how to stretch it past every reasonable limit. Machiavelli wrote that the wise ruler must know when generosity becomes self-destruction. Giving to those who do not value your gift is not virtue. It is a surrender of your own resources to someone who will hoard them. Notice this pattern. After every interaction, do you feel lighter or heavier? Energized or emptied? The body keeps score when the mind is still making excuses for someone who does not deserve your benefit of the doubt. The Romans had a word, parasitus. Not an insult, a descriptor. The person who attaches to a host and draws nutrition without offering any. Machiavelli understood. Identifying them early is the only mercy you can afford yourself. The moment you stop performing empathy on demand, the moment you pause and simply observe, their entire strategy collapses. They need your reaction. Withdraw it and you take back the first piece of your power. Your empathy is not the problem. Misplacing it is. The man who gives his last warmth to someone who feeds on heat will find himself frozen long before winter arrives. Machiavelli called this preventable destruction. The second truth is one of the most disorienting you will encounter. Toxic people don't just distort the future, they rewrite the past. They revise shared history until you no longer trust your own recollection of events. That never happened. You're remembering it wrong. You were always too sensitive. These phrases are not corrections. They are weapons. The technical term is gaslighting. Machiavelli's term would simply be the falsification of shared reality. When someone controls how you interpret your own history, they control you more completely than any physical force could. You begin to seek their version of events as truth. Their reality becomes your reference point, your anchor. Jung called this projective identification, when someone projects a false version of you so consistently that you begin to inhabit it. You stop being yourself and start performing the character they have written for you. The antidote is documentation. Write down what happened while your perception is clear. Machiavelli kept records not out of paranoia, but because he understood that power is lost the moment truth becomes negotiable between two unequal parties. Your memory is your sovereignty. The moment you allow someone to override it unchallenged, you have handed them the keys to your perception of reality. No relationship is worth that price. Not one. Not ever. Trust your compass. The fourth truth arrives the moment you begin to improve. The moment you become more disciplined, more ambitious, more self-aware, the toxic person in your life will make that growth feel like a betrayal of them. You've changed. Said not as a compliment. Said as an accusation. Because to them, your improvement is an implicit indictment of their stagnation. A mirror they never asked to be held in front of their face. Nietzsche was precise about this dynamic. The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. They mock what they cannot reach. They minimize what they secretly wish they had built for themselves. Machiavelli would tell you, never explain your evolution to someone who profits from your stagnation. Your growth requires no permission, no approval, no committee vote from people who are only comfortable when you remain exactly where they left you. The punishment they inflict for your improvement comes in waves. First ridicule, then guilt, then manufactured crises designed to pull your attention back down to their level precisely when you are gaining altitude and momentum. The Stoic response to manufactured disruption is studied stillness. Not indifference, stillness. You acknowledge the storm. You do not walk into it. You return to your work. You guard your momentum like a general guards a supply line. Every person who punishes your growth has told you the most important truth about themselves. They do not want to better you. They want to convenient you. And convenience was never the price of becoming who you are meant to be. Most people stop here. Keep going. The fifth truth operates at the deepest level, below conscious awareness. Toxic people do not simply change your behavior. Over months and years, they replace your identity entirely with a role they have scripted for you to perform. The roles are consistent. The fixer, the apologizer, the one who gives and never receives. If you find yourself permanently playing one of these parts in a relationship, ask who assigned the role and why they need you in it. Jung identified the persona, the mask we wear for the world. What toxic people do is more insidious. They do not let you choose your mask. They affix one to your face while insisting it is your real face. Machiavelli warned of those who frame others in service of their own narrative. The man who is always cast as the problem in another person's story should ask, who benefits from that framing and what does it cost me? Reclaiming your identity begins with a single radical act. Deciding who you are without reference to who they told you were. Not rejection. Replacement. Trading their authored version of you for your own deliberate self-definition. Write down who you are without using anyone else's language. Your values. Your standards. Your vision. This is not journaling. This is legal documentation of your sovereignty. A contract you sign with yourself against future revision by anyone else. The man who knows who he is cannot be assigned a role by someone who fears who he might become. Identity is not gifted by relationships. It is forged in solitude and defended in the presence of those who would rewrite it. The sixth truth is the one that traps the most men the longest: the cycle. Idealization followed by devaluation, followed by idealization again. A pendulum that keeps you permanently off balance, always reaching for the warmth, always bracing for the cold. First, you are extraordinary. The most interesting person they have ever met. Then, without warning, you are too much, too little, too different. Not because you changed, because they have moved to the next phase of the cycle. The seventh truth is one you may have never considered. Your silence, born of dignity and self-restraint, is often interpreted by a toxic person as permission, as acceptance, as evidence that what they are doing carries no consequence. Machiavelli was unequivocal. The prince who does not respond to small violations invites larger ones. Not because he is weak, but because inaction to an opportunist always reads as an open door rather than a closed one. Speaking is not aggression. Naming a behavior is not an attack. That is not acceptable, is not a battle cry, it is a property line. The man who can draw that line calmly is the man who cannot be encroached upon gradually. There is a silence of wisdom and a silence of fear. The toxic person cannot tell the difference until you show them. The moment you distinguish between the two in your own behavior, they lose their primary interpretive advantage. Strategic speech, not volume, not anger, is the instrument of the man Machiavelli most respected. The one who chooses his moments, selects his words with precision, and speaks from a position of inner authority rather than reactive urgency. Your silence should be a deliberate choice, not a reflexive retreat. Choose it when it serves your clarity. Break it when silence has become the mechanism by which someone else writes the rules of your shared reality. The man who speaks when he means to, and is silent when he chooses to be, holds a form of power that confounds every toxic strategy built on reaction. He cannot be provoked into a position he did not choose. The eighth truth is the hardest, not because it is complex, but because it is entirely yours to act on. Every ounce of power a toxic person holds over you is loaned to them by your own psychology. And loans can be recalled. Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors those who act decisively when the moment arrives. The moment here is internal. The decision to stop participating in someone's dominance over you is made in a single, quiet, irreversible moment of clarity. You do not need a confrontation. You do not need their acknowledgement of what they have done. You do not need resolution, closure, or their admission of guilt. You need only your own unambiguous internal decision to no longer participate. Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming fully yourself by separating your genuine identity from everything that has been projected, imposed, or attached to it. It is the most demanding work a man can undertake, and the most necessary. Nietzsche described this as the will to power, not domination of others but complete sovereignty over the self. When you no longer need their approval, fear their disapproval, or seek their validation, you have achieved what they spent years trying to prevent. Machiavelli's final instruction to the man who has identified a toxic presence in his life was simple and without sentiment: remove the threat from your counsel. Not in rage, in strategic quiet. As a matter of self-governance and long-term clarity. Their power over you was never real. It was a performance, and you were the audience it required. Walk out of the theater. The moment you do, the entire production stops. And it cannot restart without your presence in the room. Return to where we began. That man at the table. That quiet heaviness. That unnamed unease. Look at him again, but this time look with everything you now know. Something has already shifted in how you see him. Naming is the beginning of power. The moment you understand the mechanics of what is being done to you, the empathy targeting, the history revision, the isolation architecture, you are no longer a participant in someone else's strategy. You become a witness to it. Machiavelli did not write The Prince to teach cruelty. He wrote it to teach awareness. The man who understands how power operates, on him, through him, against him, is the man who can navigate human nature without being consumed by it. There are 4 things to carry with you from everything you have heard today. First, toxic people do not target weakness, they engineer it. Second, your clarity is your only weapon that they cannot take by force or by strategy. Third, every piece of power you reclaim from a toxic dynamic becomes a permanent part of your character. They cannot undo what you have understood. Fourth, the version of you they needed you to remain was always a cage. You were never the captive they thought they had.